What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Echo and the Bunnymen, and we're moving on to Ocean Rain 1984. As always, major thank you to Amber, who has provided the materials for this deep dive. And yes, following on the heels of Porcupine, I wonder what the sonic flavor, or flavors plural, probably more likely, will be on this record. The first track is The Yo-Yo Man. So I'm in two minds. One, I feel like this could be the idea of someone who goes into something but then maybe retreats, someone whose movement conceptually is in one direction and then back again. But of course it could be someone who literally has a yo-yo and it's like part of their visual and personality presence. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe if there's meaning on multiple fronts. It is maybe a visual reference, but also reflective of something conceptually. Either way, I will try to follow along, or at least catch what I can. This is Echo and the Bunnymen. The song is The Yo-Yo Man, which I suppose could be Yo-Yo Ma, but I doubt it. Nevertheless, it's the opening track on Ocean Rain 1984.
Froze to the bone in my igloo home, counting the days till the ice turns green. You know when heaven and hell collide, there are no in betweens. The flames on your skin of snow turn cold, cold as the wind that blows through my headstone. Collecting the bones of my friends tonight, sowing the seeds in a fruitless land. You know when prayers all hit the ground, there is no harder hand. Flames on your skin of snow turn cold, cold as the wind that blows through my headstone. Always up and down. So take me to the end of your tether. The flames on your skin of snow turn cold, cold as the wind that blows through my flames on your skin of snow turn cold, cold as the wind that blows through my flames on your skin of snow turn cold, cold as the wind that blows through all headstones.
Notice the change there from my to our at the end. So I'm fascinated by this one. I enjoy the sonics. They're a bit like art pop. They have a, they're not so much like, a catchy finger snapping tune. They're more a bit, spacious and quirky, but definitely still consonant and compelling. And then those flourishes with the, it sounded like a cello, like a little, almost intense or angry cello flourish at the end, but they, rolled over, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, vroom, vroom. So I don't know exactly instrumentally what was happening. Eventually there are these like bells or chimes that give it sort of this sparkle at the top of the track, a little piano run here and there. But yeah, very eclectic instrument assortment on this one. And lyrically, I'm fascinated because I think I heard most everything pretty clearly, which is not always the case with their songs. And it's interesting, like, in a way, it's unmistakably Ian's voice, and yet it felt like it was a bit less echoey, or was a bit more like, I mean, there still was that space to his voice, but I don't know, I had an easier time hearing the words, and maybe because it wasn't, some of them weren't, like, stretched out as much. Either way, like, first of all, there's a contrast in temperatures or extremes, and indeed, it feels like there's a contrast in absolutes. I mean, there's reference to snow and freezing, but also to flames, and then eventually, or not eventually, it was actually like in the first half of the tune, I think, but the line about like heaven and hell, which, obviously, like in the context of religious ideology and so on, there's moral connotations to that, but in a more immediate, like, narrative context, or at least as a lot of people interpret it, hell is the place of hellfire and, sort of unbearable temperatures, and then heaven is seen as the opposite of that, this, euphoric, utopian. So the line was something like, when heaven and hell collide, there's nothing in the middle, or something like that. So again, it feels like we're dealing in absolutes. And then also, like, some of the lines that were relating to, like, cold and snow and so on made me think of an Arctic environment. And admittedly, like, the danger of famine is actually more specific in that environment. So then when he's talking about, like, collecting the friends of his bone, or the bones of his friends, rather, I wondered, like, if there is something to that, where it's, like, speaking to this environment that is harsh and unforgiving, and where, the green doesn't grow. And in fact, he was saying, like, waiting for the snow to melt or the ice to melt so that it can be green again, something like that. So it sounds like a harsh winter. But again, like, skins on your flame sounds like, or I keep saying words in reverse. Flames on your skin sounds like someone burning to death, which is obviously the complete other extreme of temperature. But then it was like flames on your skin of snow. So then it was like, wait, is like snow being, sort of used in a metaphorical way, so that like the snow is itself someone's skin, and it's like burning by melting, and is he like talking about the environment? So again, there's like a poetry and like a figurative layer to this, where I'm not exactly sure what's happening. But again, what I took away from it is we are making reference to like temperatures and extremes and absolutes, and then, framing that through heaven and hell, and saying there can't be anything in between, and then maybe there's like a reference to like seasonal shifting, but that might all be a metaphor about someone's, mentality, or their state as a person. So yeah, fascinating one lyrically and thematically, and I do wonder exactly what might be happening here. But a cool opener, and as I said, there was like an artful quality to this one, where, it still had these different instrumental layers and, these like energetic flourishes, but the whole time it felt like I was in kind of this mystical environment, which again, might have been a frigid one. But yeah, I found it very compelling, even though, I'm still trying to sort through what I heard in my head. So once again, big thank you to Amber. Let me know what you think of this album opener, and I will see you next time. Peace.